Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Let's see. Hey,
Hello, hello.
what's up? What's up? So,
How are
it was
you?
dots. I got squares. It was dots. I got the wrong message. My bad. My bad. Oh,
I didn't notice that until just now.
yeah,
It
yeah.
works. How are you, though?
Good, fabulous. How about
All
yourself?
right. I'm pretty good. Can't
Good,
complain.
right?
Oh, I said it again. That's like a go-to that I say, I feel like.
Can't complain. Well, you can. Whoops, whoa, 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 whoa.
What's going on?
Oh, there we go. Phew. I was trying to adjust my volume. There we go. How's my volume?
Um,
How do I sound?
you sound good.
Good, good, good.
Hopefully, let me
I didn't put
see.
my headset on, and I've been watching some of our replays, and I noticed that the boom mic, that's more clear, deeper, richer voice. But when I'm not using it, I'm like, oh, I don't sound as.
Oh, I don't think I
So this is
noticed.
without the headset, so we'll see how I do.
Oh, so what
Yeah.
mic are you using now?
Just the tab, the built-in
Oh,
mic.
okay.
Yeah. So I want to
Okay.
plug it up, but my luck, I'll plug it, then it'll say, "Oh, that mic is no longer connected," and then you have to, and then
I know. It's always an
I'll leave it.
adventure.
All
Well,
right, let's see what's going on in the world. Let's see who do we have here.
we
This thing supposedly I can do.
no, you're good. No one's joined us yet. They must be some stragglers, but that's okay. Just big shout out to Alexis from Texas being our producer
Is
in the back.
she working out? You know what? I saw this text. I mean, Texas. I saw this message saying you guys here, and it was from Alexis. I'm like, "Hi."
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna be nervous now.
Um,
I'm at butterflies in my stomach.
okay,
Yeah.
well, but I'll just welcome everyone in as they come to the Black Men Unfiltered network. And this is Breaking the Cycle with Dr. Nakumbi and me, Coach K. And today we are doing somewhat of a follow up, would you say, on last week's conversation, where Dr. Nakambi really broke down trauma and the different ways that it manifests and what it looks like with some visuals. So,
And I do have one more visual
yeah.
for us today,
Ooh,
just for as we're talking, because sure, those visuals helped us to understand. Excuse me for a second. Helped us to understand maybe where some of it comes from or how it starts. Cool. But the actual impact years later, some of those videos I said, oh, that reminds me of Black Man Unfiltered on the golf cart, and
yeah.
and the guy kicking the guy. It's like, oh yeah, now we're defensive. Sorry, now we're defensive. Sorry, now we're defensive and blah blah blah. Blah. And how do we? Oh, is that am I like superimposed? All right, there we go. I just not really saw how close I am. All right. So
No,
anyway,
you're not close anymore.
all right. We realized how defensive we get. The guy who kicked the guy who we thought might have been doing something to him. Um, and I'm gonna send this video. It'll take a minute for me to get it over to
Okay.
Alexis or CBN. But I figured we'd do one more visual because so many of these things that we do in life are connected, not to just trauma, but an episode, an experience, and it leads to us behaving the way that we do.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big words out there right now is simp. So you're either a simp or I think it's three, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Either you're a simp, you're with the program, or you're too aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think each one of those play out because of the experiences. Now that's based on, for people who like theory, that's based on Freudian, Freud, based on fraud, Freudian, Dr. Freud, Adler, a psychoanalytical approach. What happened in your past and your present, they're connected because they're connected to either an event, an episode, experience.
Right.
We have other theories, you know, Jung, Jung,
Mm-hmm.
Rogers, different people in the therapy realm that is not so much based on the past. Some people are very aware of their present. And even
Mm-hmm.
with coaching, I think even
Right.
that, what do you say? Like you have your past experiences and you have your present, but like what are you gonna do? Like where are you trying to get to? What's your goal? How can we get you there to include those experiences that you have?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what I want to show people is remember a few weeks ago we talked about complaining,
Mm.
bashing people, talking about people,
Right. Right.
sometimes making fun in good faith, like fun. We're having
Yeah.
fun. And in fact, that video we showed last week about the dog, the guy being at a friend's house, but being harassed by this dog.
Right.
And even though I was in the name of fun for the friend, it was trauma for someone else.
Right.
So intent, what might be fun for one person might not be so much fun for another. And we
Mm-hmm.
never know when these things are going to uh, flip on us. And so I wanted to, I've been watching a lot of shows also talking about sexual trauma and how the men experience it as well. We don't talk to it as much. I know
Right.
Lucky, who's on some of the networks,
Mm-hmm.
the other home network, and Lapeep, she's
Yeah.
talked about how men have been traumatized too. We don't talk about it too much,
Right.
but how some people have changed their story. Or like, why change your story? Even though you knew you were there, you were actively part of it, you were engaged, but we don't take into a most times we don't take into to account the trauma response, the earlier experience that now led this person to having the feelings that they have. And it's usually
Mm-hmm.
surrounded around the same things. Do we feel safe? It's the biggest piece. Internally, externally, do I feel safe? Do I feel safe in the relationship? We hear the word happy. Are we happy? But that happiness usually ties into also a measurement of safety. So we'll get
Right.
more into it in a second. I see we have some people here, and I want to give you an opportunity to respond to that. Um, I see we have Nidus in the house.
Hey, Nightish.
Greetings, greetings. Thank you so much for being here. Much, much appreciated. Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you for swinging through. Um, don't feel safe, yeah. In all honesty, some people really appear safe, but internally, I don't know for you, Coach K, how many times we've done something for somebody where deep inside we're like, oh, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't even know
Yeah.
why I'm doing this. I'm not
Yep.
even sure if this person Our friends. I'll be there for them. Will they be there for me?
Mm-hmm.
Family, your blood relatives and your chosen family. Will they be
Mm-hmm.
there for you? So this video, what I want to show, I think it's funny, by the way, but it's not. But I shouldn't laugh. It's not so funny.
It
It's
better be
unfortunate.
funny.
Or
Or
it's
well,
unfortunate. Yeah. It's and our techs in the back have not had a chance to prep the video or anything, so I'm not sure how long it would take. Doesn't need any editing as far as I'm thinking, but let me get that over to them.
sure, no
All
problem.
right. So what else do you want to talk about as far as this thing, trauma? What else?
I think it'd be good too when more folks get in here to, if we can drop a link later on, if they want to join, but also too with questions. But kind of just getting into what does life look like now, or now I hope that the audience has acquired some more understanding for what it's like to have experienced trauma, or maybe what they're currently experiencing because of trauma from their past, or their childhood, and how that's showing up now and what to do about it. Me and Dr. Nakumbia have talked a lot about how people may think trauma is just a bunch of BS. They may acknowledge it when it comes to like veterans, military, but they may not consider what it's like for childhood trauma, or just things that happen to everyday people. So they may question the validity of trauma, but also too, they may say, well, just get over it. And we kind of spoke on that last week. So we gave the evidence and the validity to trauma and it being very much so real. But now I think in this conversation, just talking on what to do now, with, if you've experienced trauma or someone else, just what some options are. And of course, this is not a prescription by any means. This is just, as Dr. DeCombe has said often, it's a description. And this is important because it's not a one size fits all for anyone. Not one thing is going to work for every single person. So some people will even say healing from trauma is an experiment. And anyone that's even sought, treatment or help for their anything psychological, you will know that, especially if you've tried medication, as I tried one after the other.
Mhm.
And it was like a trial and error process, which it can be kind of frustrating. But just so people know, this is what's out there. So, it's not that something you have to do, or it's definitely going to work for you, but it is encouraging to know that there is something you can do to help that
Absolutely.
healing process and that recovery process. Some people like to phrase it that way. So,
Yeah. And so it's not just therapy, but there's mindfulness and meditation. Um,
yes,
and if you
there's,
think about the different ways this will show up in your life, I was
mm-hmm,
watching Hink in the Basement last night,
mm,
his panel, and they were talking about being a stepfather and how the stepfathers get so much grief or so much heat. But if
mm,
you take a person who's wanting to give a child a different experience, and it's usually what I want to make sure they have better than I had. And so they might take on risk to do for someone else's children with the thought of, I want to help some kid out there. Now, I'm not talking about the dads who really just want to be with the woman to have this sex partner and all that, and they'll sacrifice taking care of the kids. I mean, the ones
right,
who really do give the best to the kid, and that's their main concern. And I'm not saying everyone has to have this motive, but at the same time, these experiences that we had lead us to doing good things as well. They lead us to many decisions that we make now, that the way we do things, the way we talk, the way we show up, the way we don't show up, the business that we get into, the business that we don't get into. So it doesn't always have to be a negative thing how it rolls out, but it can show up in any part. I want to say every part of our lives. Some people have made them stronger, more confident. Some have made them so strong and so confident that they don't even recognize they actually hurt themselves more than they do good. Right?
Yes.
And
That's yeah, go ahead.
some people they have shut down. They stay in the shadows. They prefer to isolate, so on and so on. But mindfulness, meditation, yoga,
Yeah.
or exercise, that
Yeah.
definitely helps with keeping your mind right, keeping your mental health stable, your
Mm-hmm.
nutrition, the
Mm-hmm.
ingredients. Now I say that, and I don't want to be a hypocrite because I have my Pringles here.
I hear ya.
The Seds family will say shame.
I
Pringles
know.
not
I
good,
hear
right?
ya.
But our nutrition, our sleep, it can impact our sleep. We have that video coming up. So we can impact our sleep, but
Right.
if we're not getting proper sleep, that can impact our mental health.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
um, so there are all kind of things that yoga, exercise, breathing, learning to take care of yourself that way. There are many benefits to it. Energy healing, prayer, the spiritual practices you can engage into.
Yeah. I found some interesting I haven't looked into the research, but just the talks on psychedelics too. That was fascinating
Mm,
to
mm,
hear about. But I think it's great that doctors and researchers are willing to go to the deemed unconventional routes to find ways
right.
that actually turn out being very helpful to their patients, but also just people that suffer from trauma,
Right.
and they can get
Well,
better.
I suggest people really dig. There are some doctors who would really go that extra mile to talk to you, explain things to you, work with you, show you some alternatives. And then there are certain systems that once you get in that system, it's like this is the only way. So I encourage everyone to look into different modalities, different processes, see which one feels best for you. Even look at a combination of ways of doing this. And we'll get in,
Right.
people will get into, well, men don't do that, or women shouldn't, put up, I would say as much as possible, put those type of things to the side, even though they do play a role. Men have certain
Mm-hmm.
issues, women have certain issues, non-gender people have certain issues. So each one of these um, kind of extra layers, they each come with something. Being a black man, being a Latino, being Caucasian, each one of these extra layers on top of the experience does play a role. And how you heal, how you work on that, some of these extra layers can play a role. But I say as much as possible, see what you can do to work on resolving the problem. And if you resolve the problem, it may also start to resolve the other issues related to those additional
The the
layers.
the leaves.
Yeah, the leaves, exactly. Those situational.
Yeah.
Because if you get into relational type coaching, relational type
Mhm.
therapy, even some of this healing stuff where it's relational, even the relationship with your own body, well, then you start to show up different. You become less defensive.
Right.
You maybe learn how to articulate yourself better. So each one of these layers may look like, well, I haven't even touched those, and they're very important. Absolutely. But looking at those core practices first, I think are beneficial. And then body-based
Yeah.
approaches. Um,
Yeah. Did
um,
you continue with your
yeah,
point?
I was just gonna say, and so body-based art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy. Get out
Yeah.
there, shake a tail or two.
Or like
But
a theater. I
yeah,
saw something too
theater,
about theater. Like,
improv.
yeah, like playing a different role, but also kind of gives you that sense of like if you're playing a warrior or someone else,
Yep.
but what's really important from what I've read and just understanding how the brain is impacted and you're disconnected, anything with the body kind of bringing you back to you
Mhm.
yourself is
Mhm.
going to be huge
Yep.
in whatever route.
Now here's a challenge though.
Yes.
Who or what is self? More so, who is self? Because if I've been impacted and I've changed my behaviors, or
Mm-hmm.
if we're talking about childhood experiences as I grew up, am I really growing up with on my parents or caretakers' values
Mm.
and core beliefs? So now if I talk about then I want to get back to myself. Scam Likely, I've heard him talk about, well, is it really about going back to traditional ways? So I think in that conversation it's a little different, like tradition as in, oh, you better do blah, 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 that. But I mean, as in, when we talk about, oh, I want to get back to how I used to be, my question, and I forgot who else I talked to about this, but we were saying, well, get back to how you used to be, but wasn't it how you used to be that led you to say, I need to make a change?
Correct. I think there's, if we look at a number line or something, there's pre-trauma and then there's post-trauma. And they do say, post-traumatic growth.
Yeah.
I think that does also kind of that discovery, but also, and this is work that I'm sure I would, encourage people to do with someone else that's positive, a professional, that can kind of help you with this journey. But it's that's empowering too, is looking at and of course this is very broad, I'm not speaking very specific, but what that what they're healing from and what that looks like and how that manifested. um
Mhm.
so what so it's hard to say what that self would look, I mean, you know what I
Right.
mean, so
Right. So, but then that's why I say it's okay to maybe even create not a new identity, but a new narrative. So if the story
yes,
of my life has been this story, the story of my
yes,
life, it's okay to create that new narrative, that new storyline, that new belief system. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a
right,
monster. I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I heard it many times. You're never gonna be, you're dumb, you're stupid. And I've grown on that narrative, but I can change that narrative and that
right,
underlying automatic commitment. I can adjust that. So we're talking about things that are changeable, or right?
yes,
You can change these things,
right,
change your mindset, change your behaviors, change what you're committed to. You just look at what you do in a day, look at what you do in a week to determine what you're truly committed to. Who are you committed to? Look at the people in your life,
yep,
the people, your go-to people, the people you stay away from. Who are you committed to? What are you committed to? If you spend 6 hours of X, Y, and Z, is that what you're driven to? Is that what your main focus is? And how much does it take away from who you want to be or could
right,
be? Or if your goals don't line up with the behaviors, or your desires don't line up with the behaviors, there's a
that
way.
that's so good. Because if
Mhm.
without even realizing, and oftentimes people who seek out coaching, they don't realize that they're doing that. They say that they're wanting to do this, but no matter what, and that's frustrating. But all the actions they're taking, and oftentimes this is because they're not. Well, we help them identify the root, but the symptoms that they're changing aren't affecting their overall outcome.
Right.
And um, another important thing too with, and I love that you mentioned the narrative and the mindset, because, and I'll bring up another point, but it's almost as if, at least for me, it's like, wow, of course I can do that. I just didn't know that I could. And
Right.
it's interesting that we all have the ability to change our narrative. We have permission because we can. Like, it's already baked within us, but we just
Right.
don't know that, I guess, unless we're, reminded, whether it's a coach or whether it's me and you, Dr. Nakomi. But another thing I wanted to add was the avoidance behaviors that we're exhibiting because of not wanting to reconnect, let's say, with ourselves, maybe from a place of self-loathing, which would go to that narrative that, I'm sure they would want to uncover, because it wasn't you, that it's not your fault that trauma happened. But we avoid things or avoid those feelings, and then we don't, so it's like we can't uncover what's in the roots of the tree,
Right.
because we're
Right.
avoiding with eating, or we could say drugs or whatever it is. But
Right.
it's going to require that, especially.
Right. Working through, because going around and avoiding, first of all, avoidance is a good intervention. It's a fair intervention. Avoid, be smart, be
Survival
wise.
mechanism.
Yes. But if you use it without really resolving the issue, I'm a troublemaker and I just don't want to, I want to avoid trouble, so I'm going to stay away from those people. I don't really learn how to deal with those people. I just learn how to avoid it. It's like playing a game of
Right.
chess, right? I was talking to the SEDS, the Mr. and Mrs. She said about the power of chess, learning how to be strategic. Again, you have the freedom of speech, but you can say too much. We are right, but then we can also be wrong. But just never mind. I'm not going to say anything. Just never mind. I'm not going to. So we have to be very careful when we use avoidance. I'm gonna save money, but the one thing is always I have a need for the use of the money. It's always a need, but I plan on saving. I was just about to. Well, the thing of it is, see, and then how am I going to? How am I? So we make these excuses. Some of them very justified, but we make these excuses and we're not moving like we really should move. We have justifications. It feels like our justifications feel real. But then guess what? Those justifications keep us stuck. Those excuses keep us in the same spot. And then what's the courage? Do you have the courage to bust through? Do you have the courage to take that next step? Do you have the courage to change the behavior? And it's not easy. I get it. I get it. It's not easy. But are you taking the steps? Are you learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable? Right?
That's
Comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I used to say a long time ago, but I've heard Pastor Sheila say, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right.
If you're not doing, we've been saying that in the drug world about, treatment. If you're not going to do anything, nothing's going to change. But I love it the way Pastor Sheila talks about like the motivation. If you don't seek the motivation, if you don't seek out for whatever you need, nothing's going to happen. No one's coming for you, ladies and gentlemen. No one is coming to do it for you.
Right.
You have to do it yourselves. And then we make these promises and promises and promises. But if you know the promise is larger than what you can do, are you willing to go get the help? And I don't mean like therapy. I mean like, who are your support people? Who are your support people? And if the support people are part of the problem or the situation, if they're part of that, those might not be the right support people for what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
They know when it's payday for you. So you say you don't want to do all these things with your money anymore. You want to save, but yet every time you seem to be able to do blah, 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 because your friend got involved. your family member who knows when you get paid, and I just needed if you could help, and I was just wondering. It was not one thing, it's another. Now another whole year went by, and we're still talking shoulda, coulda, woulda, which Coach K is part of that trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
Procrastination.
Right.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Fear. Let's give a couple of shout outs and then I'm going to play this video.
Absolutely. I
I,
can. You got him? Can you see him?
well, go ahead. I'm just going to throw some names out there. Whatever you don't
No,
throw
you
out,
do
I'm
it
just
because
going
I
to
want to
throw
make
out.
sure you can see. You can
We'll
see
do
him.
it together. We'll do it together. Lost in Translations in the house. What's up? What's up?
Hey. Reckless Ray.
Reckless Ray's in the house. Captain. Yes, sir. All right. Good to see you. Quincy.
Hey,
Quincy's in the
Quincy.
house. Hey, thank you for stopping through.
We have not Lowe's 2. He
How
also
do you
has a
say it?
question. If it looks like
Not loud?
not Lowe's
Not loud.
2.
Hope we're saying that right.
Yeah, if you want to answer that question later, but that
Okay.
he has. All right, your
Yes,
turn.
Scam Likely's in the house. I was just talking about your scam. Scam Likely's in the house. Dust.
You're right. Hey,
Yeah.
Scam.
DL Saint. I
Hey,
really want to know
DL.
podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for
I
the mentioning the likes and stuff.
know.
Much, much appreciated.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Bengals too, being 0-2. I
Uh,
know. But
cool.
remember, I like college, so. All right.
All right, we'll get to that question in a moment, and let's show this.
Yes.
Actually, what did you said? There's a question. I don't see it yet, but
Oh, well, it's separate from. It's about cluster B disorders. Tending to gravitate towards. So if you want to answer that later, I guess. But
okay, sounds good. Let's get to this video. We're gonna have some fun. Again, welcome to the network, everyone, to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Coach K and Dr. Nakumbi here, the doc. We have CBN and Alexis from Texas working the controls in the back. So thank you so very much. I think BMU's still out there doing this thing with his family. So be safe out there. Hope you're having fun.
Yes,
All
you
right, let's
deserve
hit
it.
the video if we can. And if you just put it up by itself, put Coach K and I to the side or off. Thank you.
All right.
And I just sent it to them, so please bear with them as far as getting it set up. And we'll let it run a couple times. I'll talk through the first one.
Okay. I'll just say something so it's not dead air until.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Because again, they needed to know in time. In fact, while that's setting up, to give some background. So this video, I would say this is one of the ways that the impact of younger experiences in the past. These particular experiences, I'm gonna ask people in the chat after they see the video, like, what do you think? Why do you think that person is doing that? What do you think is at the root? And if we don't want to do the psychoanalysis part, let's say we don't go back in the past, cool. Why do you think that person's acting the way that they act, period? So 2 questions. What do you think happened in the past? And what are they doing now in their life that's leading them to be committed to this behavior?
I discovered you don't have to have a term for this, but it's called compassionate inquiry. I think I love that. Just instead of like, why did you do that? But like, why did I do that? Or why did this person do that? Especially with like other like loved ones or your significant other. Like when I really want to get pissed, I have to I call it finding understanding.
Understanding, overstanding, understanding. Yeah, I've heard a few of those.
And you never know, like when someone cuts me off or doesn't let me over, and I've used this example, I remember that sometimes I'll be in La La Land and I'm like, oh my gosh, this person had their turn signal on. I didn't even notice. So I'm like, well, maybe that person did the same thing that I do and they just didn't notice. That's why they didn't let me over. Now I'm not about to go follow them and cuss them out and get into some trouble, you know?
And that takes a level of awareness because how many times do we do it and realize, I know I've been in
Mm-hmm.
the slow, in the
It
past
took me
lane was drive
time.
right, but in the moment, the awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and then where's our compassion and grace?
Right.
Um, oh, okay, got a message.
Oh,
Video is not loading. I'll
okay.
put. Oh, wait a
Yay.
minute. Here we go. Here we go. All right, and if you can just show that only, if that works.
For teacher?
Yeah, you was the one in her DM.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro. We played you, bro. Yeah, yeah. We got your cash out. We appreciate you, boss. You a freak in them DMs too. Yeah. We'll expose you, boss. No. You a freak, boss. What's in the box?
12-piece spicy.
Put it down or we expose you. Put it down. You came with flowers too, boss? Oh my God. You came with flowers, boss? Put it down, boss. Walk off, boss. Who are you, bro? Yeah, you,
So,
bro. Yeah.
all right, so the
Dr.
reason
Nicombe, why you gotta do this? I don't like that.
I know it
Man.
that's what I said. It's funny and sad because that
No,
music.
that is not funny.
I know they laid it on thick, but
Okay, but go on. Man.
why? No, let's do the foolish part first. Let's do the fun part first. Dumb, stupid, should have known better. That's what he gets. Chasing the booty, simp, didn't have a dad. What is it?
Yeah.
Mama's husband.
Yeah, son husband, not on his purpose, wasting his time trying to find women or
Right.
something like.
He got what he got. He should have known better.
Why is he trying
It
to
was
find someone on
sprinkled
the
on him.
internet? I don't know.
Yeah, it was sprinkled on him. Okay, so we got all the, maybe not them all. I'm sure there's some more negative terms. Why would someone get to the point inside that they feel they should bring flowers? And I'm assuming he knew whatever the chat was. If it was, now I can't tell in that video if they said you got played, meaning there never was a Keisha. So I'm not sure if that was the case. Like there never was a Keisha, we played you, or if there was a Keisha, but no, you're not really seeing Keisha. There is a Keisha, like if they did voice or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But
Or
but the
maybe
whole thing
like
was a scam. We got your
the
cash back.
guy's like chick was Keisha, maybe, or
Right.
I don't know.
So go either way. If there was no Keisha, but she, somehow he knew that was her favorite. He brought the 12 piece. So what was going on that he got to that level of care that he brought Keisha's food? I'm not sure if she liked flowers. If she actually said, "Oh yeah, I like flowers," I'm not sure.
And he was dressed up
and dressed up, right? So chivalry,
man.
Gentleman, whatever you want to call it, showed up at the address.
He said a cash app too. Like
they said we got the cash app, so he must have been sending her support, sending her money. What got him to that point?
I'm going to imagine
Andre's in the house.
Hey,
Sorry,
Andre. I'm going to imagine, I don't know how to phrase this correctly, but something coming up in my mind is like wanting love, like wanting, so like trying to give to receive, maybe. I don't know.
Let's use the.
I'm trying to be
those
more
in the
specific.
chat. What do you think in the chat? What do you think a person now? But not just the fun comments about dumbass and blah blah blah. Not that. I mean, what do we think gets a person to that point?
Legitimately.
Right. So the dude probably has frontal lobe differences. Lonely and desperate, I guess, or just the frontal lobe. Got it right? Some lonely, desperate. What's the difference, Coach K or anyone, between lonely, desperate behavior, and gentleman, romantic, blah 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 behavior? What's the difference?
I think the motive, um, the motive is different. I think being like chivalrous is like kind of the character thing, like who you are. Where lonely and desperate, you're trying to find something external to fill a void, maybe, or
Okay, from a
fill
board.
some type of feeling that you have or are lacking that you
Yeah.
want.
Okay. What are you able to run? Are you able to run it again? The cash apps. Are we? Yes. Are we able to run it again? I want to highlight the facial expressions as well as, I mean, I want us to look
Oh,
at.
the video. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the video. I want us to be able to capture when this guy's looking. Are we able to
Oh, I
blow it up?
don't like
Gil.
it.
You Gil.
I'm looking for Keisha.
Yeah, you was the one in her DM.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Look at
bro.
that confidence.
We
Yeah,
played
yeah,
you,
it was
bro.
me.
Yeah. We got your cash out. We appreciate you, boss. You a freak in them DMs too. Yeah. We'll expose you, boss.
Oh, it ain't
No. You a freak, boss. What's in the box?
12-piece spicy.
Put it down or we expose you. Put it down. You came with flowers too, boss? Oh my God. You came with flowers, boss? Put it down, boss. Walk off, boss.
Then one more, please. One
Who
more.
are you, bro? Yeah, you. Who are
I
you, bro?
don't
Yeah.
like this.
I'm Gil.
You Gil.
I'm looking for Keisha.
Yeah, you was the one in her DM.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro. We played you, bro. Yeah. We got your cash out. We appreciate you, boss. You a freak in them DMs too. Yeah. We'll expose you,
Oh,
boss.
it ain't
No. You a freak, boss. What's in the box?
12-piece spicy.
Put it down or we expose you. Put it down. You came with flowers too, boss? Oh my God. You came with flowers, boss? Put it down, boss. Walk off, boss.
All right. Now, of course, if this is a skit, it was fabulous acting. Right? It was fabulous acting.
His eye was like,
Yeah.
are you for
But
real?
here's the double whammy. And I think people in the audience can appreciate this. Here's the double whammy, triple whammy, quadruple whammy. That particular behavior comes from a sense of belonging and feeling connected. Wanting a sense of belonging and feeling connected.
Mm-hmm. Which we
Boss
all have,
mode.
by the way.
Who?
Every single human has that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Boss mode of that is he showed up. You didn't have to tell me. Boss mode of that, minus the silence music, minus the sad music, and minus getting played.
Yeah.
The boss mode of that is he showed up, and you didn't think I heard you when you mentioned, I got you spicy. Boss mode of that, okay, he showed up.
Yeah.
So if we start to go backwards, a sense of wanting to feel belonging. So whammy number one, if it's based on, let's go back to our examples last week with the dog, where the guy felt unprotected. Even his friend didn't protect him. So let's go back to childhood. There's a dog experience. If you were here last week, you remember. If you weren't here last week, there's a video I played where his friend had the dog, where he's like, hey man, put your dog away. He didn't put the dog away. So what got locked in the brain, a schema in the brain,
Right.
is not feeling protected, not feeling like that's your friend, but what kind of friend is that they allowed me to get hurt? The laughter in the background. So for those of you who didn't see the video, people are laughing at the dog and the guy. It was funny to them. High pitch of laughter while this guy's going through this trauma episode. So if you start to grow, if you grow on that pillar, that tree bark, if you start to grow, that you don't feel loved, you don't feel connected, and no one protected you. So now I have someone who I believe cares about me. I'm believing there's really a Keisha. I'm believing there's someone down in Texas who really cares about me. All right. And I'm gonna come down to Texas. I'm gonna show up. I'm proud too. Through the first strike, whatever that was, in our case, we're going to say the dog video. That's strike number one of not feeling heard, protected, loved, secured. Boom. Strike number two, we say something in their adolescent years that happened that reminded them they don't really have a posse. They don't feel protected. They don't feel loved. But in return, they became the bully. They became the bully. And as the bully, they get in trouble for it. So on one end, they were impacted. No one got in trouble for what happened to them. Then they became the bully or the perpetrator.
Right.
They become the bully or the perpetrator. They now impact someone, but they get in trouble for it. And either they get in trouble in that moment or years later. And so now we have a third. So here's the first episode. They were impacted. Next one, they hurt someone. Then they go through some type of regret or hurt or pain or shame, or don't give a bleep bleep, only later to now have to suffer consequences from it. I'm not justifying behavior. This is only for understanding. This is not for justification. It's only for understanding. Not for justification. We are responsible for our behaviors.
Right.
But for understanding of how did we get from A to Z. And now when this person gets in trouble for it, it's another whammy. And we talk about perpetrators, if they end up going to jail, the jail environment is not very welcoming, right? If you're in a neighborhood and we have cousins, we're not very welcoming, let alone on top of that, you go to the jail, that's not very welcoming. Not for justification, only for understanding that this person got bit by the dog based on that video, or teased by the dog, harassed, traumatized, boom, 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 jail environment, cousins coming from down the street, traumatized.
Right.
It's a vicious cycle. Again, not justification, only for understanding. This guy shows up. It's acting, so I can't really tell you, but I would say that face had a look of familiarity. I always push that word. It looked familiar to them.
Right, like he's
It
been
looked
there
for
before.
that looked of
Again.
wow. Again.
Remember that one video you and I were talking about? This always happens to me. Remember that one guy?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Those should be the hints. Ladies and gentlemen and others, that should be the hint. When we're saying stuff like all my life,
Yeah.
all my life is a huge hint that this is familiar to you, even beyond the ones that you remember.
Right.
Even beyond the ones that you remember, this is a lot deeper than you realize. I think another example I gave is if uncle or grandpa or grandma said, let's go. Mama said, let's go to the store. And you, hold on, I got it. And you run out and the car is gone. They're coming back home. But as a child, there's a schema gets stamped in the brain that says, I wasn't good enough. You didn't wait for me. Or let's reverse it. I'm at the store, and when I run in the store, I want to go check out the electronics in the toy section. Parents say, all right, you better have a whistle or a horn when it's time to go. It's time to go. I run out, I can't, or I run in the store, I can't find them. I run out, the car is not there, so I panic. Schema locked in the brain, not good enough, abandoned, neglected. Even if it's not accurate, but for a kid, and then they grow on that pillar to the point where they show up
As
proud, show up proud, giving Cash App. Oh, you need what? You need what? What's going on? Cash App, Cash App. Feeling
because I
proud
don't
that
want
I'm
you
there.
to feel that way.
Yes. I know what it's like to be left behind. I know what it's like not to have those resources. Now, a wise person will say, or a wiser person will say, you're who's in our audience makes me think of reckless. Our reckless, our Ray Reckless will say, yeah, I don't mean to be mean, but you got to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself.
Right.
All that softness will get you what? That kindness will get you what? Helping is nice, but when you go overboard with it, when you don't know the boundaries, when you've gone beyond, when you start doing those things, that's what leads people to say, you deserved it. You brought that on yourself. See, the people who are saying that, other than being mean and nasty and playful, I don't think it's ever really meant to be mean. But I think the
Right.
part of that is, dumbass, you should have known better. What
Right.
made you think? I mean, and if I put the big projections out there, you did all that for some. And if the person, because what's their defense? I mean, unless they say, yeah, I did it for some, they're most likely going to say, no, no, that's not. There's more to it than that. Okay, dumbass.
Right.
What was the payoff? Like, what were you thinking? What were you doing? And so I don't think we give enough understanding, not justification, not excuses. I wonder if we give enough understanding to ourselves to identify why we do what we do and to give
Yes.
ourselves permission to learn from that.
Yes, and not come in. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead. Come in and say it again.
Not come in saying, okay, well, at one point it was a good coping mechanism or a good
Yes,
reaction. It was fueling for a good reason, but now it's just corrosive and it's not helping us at all. And the instant reaction to that person, like Gil, might be, well, now I'm going to be self-loathing because I did this,
yes,
dumbass. You did this. But with the compassion and the understanding, it's almost to recognize both ends. Okay, listen, you did this, especially when we're talking about trauma here. We can understand why you were doing this for a good reason, especially when we look at just the case of survival and how we've evolved. So it made sense, but now it's not serving you, and
right,
beating yourself up is not going to be helpful. So giving it like this whole big picture of the tree is going to be more effective than just saying, dumbass,
right,
you're just doing it just to be a simp. Like, that's not going to help.
right.
But you
I might
continue.
double down. I might double down because when you say dumbass, one, that adds to the bag of feeling like a piece of crap. That adds to the whatever that was. You're not gonna beep beep. You never been beep. In school, you raised your hand, but you didn't get picked or chosen. And now, dumbassy, they all go together. So either now I'm being defensive, I'm putting up shield when I should be welcoming support, even though it didn't feel good. But if my friend, if my family, I'm talking about true friends and family, hell, that stranger that says, dude, I don't mean to tell you this. Don't bring that chick. Who you doing? No, but I'm defensive because that's worked for me before. Or I've been the victim. I've been the victim, and the reason I'm putting that in air quotes is because how long do you stay the victim? You're using it as the reason, as the justification, but how long is that the justification? How long do you stay in that victim mode? At what point do you say, hey, that worked exactly what you said, Coach K, that worked for me before, but
Right.
the outcome, first time is an incident, the second time is a coincidence, the third time is a
Yeah.
pattern. I
Yeah.
am at the pattern stage of doing this. I am at the repeated stage of thinking that I'm doing well, only to find out that it wasn't the best move. But for me, it felt good. It felt
Right.
good because if I'm not doing that, then people think. Hold on, what was that? People think. That's part of the problem. People think, and I'm more worried about what they think. I'm more worried about how others feel. I'm more worried about protecting and serving others more than I do for myself, to the point where I'm not even recognizing I'm spending money. You say you got a cash app. I don't know how much money that guy's have, but I'm spending money. Do I really have that money? I traveled. I don't know how far he traveled to get to her house, but he traveled,
Yeah.
used resources for gas. He said he was dressed up. He made this investment, and for him it felt good because he's making an investment, but probably a larger investment in other people than he invested in himself. If I
Facts.
say, hey, why don't you go to the gym? Why don't you start working on some breathing? Why don't you do some healing stuff? Why don't you look inside your soul? Why don't you get to a men's group? Or how about you? I don't have time for that. I don't have the
Avoidant.
resources for that. That sounds simpish to me. I'm gonna sit
Mm-hmm.
around with a bunch of grown ass men sitting around
Right.
crying and boo-hooing and talking about our problems when I
Right.
could be sitting up next to some ass and some spicy chicken.
Right. I don't want to talk about emotions.
So that's why we start leaning more towards the aggressive piece. Well, you deserve it then, since you don't have time, you don't have the resources, you don't want to invest in yourself, you don't want to sit down and take a class, you don't want to read a book. You don't want to get into writing poetry or expressing yourself or creative arts or something that's going to help you. You don't want to
Right.
exercise. I was joking about this can of Pringles, but if I held up at a can and then next week, ooh, dumbass.
Right. I mean, right.
So, all right, let's look at
That's funny because I will say with my husband, he'll say, "Oh, I have a headache," and I'm like, "How much water did you drink today?" None.
Right. Let me come from a different angle about this video thing again. The connection for understanding, not justification for understanding. Not only is the
Mhm.
person, not only does the person have potential to present defensively, they also then justify by you can call me a simp. I'm okay being called a simp. I know
Yeah,
what I am. I feel comfortable with it.
this is a
And
good
that may
point.
be true. That
Right.
may be true. To be honest, coach, I myself, I admit I find it's guilty pleasure in what I do. No
Yeah.
one asked me to give. I mean, you get your random questions of like, hey, do you think you can? But I'm talking about no one asked for these things. That's
Mm-hmm.
my own guilty pleasure. But
Mm-hmm.
if people don't recognize and can't tell the difference, if you can't divide the difference between I want to do this and I know the boundary and I know why I do it. I know
Yeah.
why I do it. I know I feel good to help other people feel good. I also know the limitations. I know the
Right.
expectations that come with it. If you
Right.
don't know the difference, you're being a fool. If you
Mm,
go into a room where they're playing games and you can't figure out who the clown is in the first 30 seconds, hell, the 8 seconds, tag, you're it. If you're playing the game of cards and you can't figure out who's the joker in the first 8 seconds, tag, you were probably the fool in the room.
right.
And I don't mean that in a negative way. What I'm saying is, wake up. You have to know the difference between when you are engaging in what they call simp type behavior with intent, because I have the extra resources, I feel good about it. And at the same
Right.
time, when there's a huge slap in the face and you now go, oh my gosh, why did this happen to me again? If you don't know the difference, then you're the fool in the room. Not calling anyone a fool, but I'm saying they're engaging in foolish type behavior.
They don't know why they're doing what they're doing, and that is going to be the issue. Now, when you know, okay.
The give you an example. So I show up, I pop up places. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
big fantasy person. I'll, the Sebs, I'm talking about them a lot tonight. Sorry. They're my new favorite people. I watched one of the episodes about relationships. And I was like, oh, that's what love is about. The Brooklyn love story.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
they had the backpack giveaway. I'm down.
What
See,
was
there's
it?
different backpack giveaway,
Oh,
school backpack.
okay.
Yeah, Minnesota, East Coast. Now I'm from New York, so of
Right.
course it gives me a chance to visit.
Right.
While out there, I sent invites. Hey, I'm in New York. What's up? What's up? If you can, you can. If not, no worries. So on one end of it, that's a simp move. Oh, you went. Oh, no. On the other end of it, I did that with confidence, with control. I did it with awareness. I want to go do this.
Yeah. Intention.
Right, intention. But we have to be careful when we truly believe. See, we can get in our own way. We can get in our own way. We believe we had good intention and we defend it. So when we started the show, we talked about you can be defensive and still be wrong. You can make it worse. So we have to know the difference between defending foolishness and defending this belief system we have and then learning from it. If I had gone all the way to the East Coast and they said, "Yeah, why'd you bring these backpacks?" And, oh, I don't know. I thought, I thought, dumbass. If I brought these backpacks, oh yeah, we didn't even need those kind. Okay, well I got them, so either use them or not. I bring them somewhere else with confidence. I went to the East Coast, but you have to know yourself, and then to get a chance to know yourself is more than just looking in the mirror. You have to do more than just look in the mirror. Listen to what people are saying. If you have people you trust, listen to what they say. Listen to what they're saying and what they are not saying. Listen to what they are saying and what they are not saying. And then when you find out that they might be right, before you get defensive, look at how it might apply. Look at how it might apply. I did, yeah, it might apply. So take note on what parts of it apply. Listen to yourself. You YouTube content folks, come back and listen to yourself. Coach K, I come back and listen to these conversations. One time I listened and thought, who is this idiot? I mean, it looked like me and it sounded like me, but I thought, oh my God, damn, what's wrong with it?
I feel that.
I was actually in the zone. So I'm not even talking bad about myself. I was in the zone. But I have to be mindful when I get in the zone and my comedy. So when I did stand-up comedy, my style was a Robin Williams. Like it was really about timing. It was like the way I landed jokes. Eventually became more like a Dave Chappelle, and I don't mean like the level of comedy. I mean like the style, the storyteller. So I was very much a Bill Cosby, tell a story, the Dave Chappelle like educational story with laughter. So that's why I'm picking those names. Not the level of, but funny in my own right. But the energy times more like a Robin Williams, just boom, 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 boom. And so watching myself on a few of these shows, I'm like, oh, he just took a turn. Wait, he just took a turn, huh? So do we watch ourselves and take note? We're more concerned about what others think about ourselves, and we won't even take the time to critique our own selves. We're not
just
above.
Telling.
Yes, that in itself is telling. So take note. Not take note on how I can be better for someone else. How can I be better for my damn self?
Yep.
Now, if I'm watching it and I don't see anything wrong, look, I love it. I love it. No worries. No worries. We don't always have to look for something negative. Right. But if it doesn't match what a majority of the people are saying, again, I go by the numbers. The first person, second person, you have 5 people saying it. We don't hear you enunciate the words. Is the New York in you? Is the fat cheeks? You had a Pringle in your mouth. Oh, let me watch.
Pringle.
Let me watch. To those who are on here, you listen to some of the things people say, myself included, but when you listen to what we're putting out there to the entire universe that has access to YouTube, that has access to this internet, when your children or your nieces and nephews, because some people, I'm just not gonna have any kids. Well, good for you. Don't do it. But whoever is gonna see it in the future and be like, did you hear what you said? When you're making the comments about negative this and shaming that person and shaming that person, and then the foolishness that comes out of some of the content people's mouths. I watched several shows and I listen, I'm like, are they serious? But I get the entertainment part. But if we don't know that part was entertainment, is that that's you for real? At some point, people should know your entertainment side. And then you have to know how to represent. We are on a network. A
Right.
network. How I present is not only for myself, but also for the network. How I present here is not only for myself, but also with you, and
Mm-hmm.
also the network, and also the people
Mm-hmm.
working, pushing the buttons in the back, and the engineering and stuff. We are a team. And so if you have a certain behavior that's going to cost the network, cost your family, cost your group, cost you at your job, cost you at with your personal relationship, cost you with your kids, are you thinking outside of yourself and really taking into consideration all the impact that it may have and who all it may impact? But anyway, take note on yourself. Listen to some of the things you're saying. Be willing to hold
Right.
yourself accountable. Can you actually say you were wrong about something?
Right. Especially time too. It's so interesting when we say we don't have time for things. And then it's like, and it's something we do with clients. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about how you, and me too. This is for me also. It's like, oh, and that's why it's like, I'll probably get mad at myself versus, lashing out at other people. Cause I'm like, how did you spend your time yesterday? What all did you do?
Right.
And you're saying you don't have time.
What was I doing? Oh, no, but see, there we go. But see,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool. But have you tracked your time? Have
Right.
you actually taken time to track your time? That's stupid. That's not. Have you taken time to track your time? And then look at the end of the week. Damn, I played. Whoa, I watched YouTube for 18 hours. And did you even realize you have addiction in your family? Why does that matter? If you have addiction in your family, did you know? Look at that. Look at these times that you've surrendered and submitted to and giving your life to, which time you can't even get back. But you've invested, not even realizing you might have addictive type personality, so you get locked into things. They didn't even think about that. I mean, I'm not hitting the chiba, but you have addictive type personalities that runs in your family.
Well, at least I'm not doing this, but at the same time, yeah, you may not be doing I don't know if we can say certain drugs, but a very, illegal substance or whatever,
Right,
like high, severity. Just because you're not doing that doesn't mean what you're doing now in terms of what you're addicted to is good, because it's still
right,
taking away from the things that you're saying you don't have time for, like going to
right,
the gym or preparing your food because you're eating like crap, like things like
right,
that. And I think what people miss, and again, I understand when they're like, oh, I don't want to do that, or they might feel a tug internally where they don't want to do it. And I
right,
would say that's because you're maybe fearful or afraid of what you're going to feel, because it does feel scary to know, or sorry, my cat is yelling outside my office and it's driving me nuts. Um, but and let me know if you can hear him. I think there's a good like audio thing that keeps everything out. But anyway,
right. It
but
came like rooting for you. Meow, get him, get him.
yeah, oh my gosh, I gotta put my other AirPod in. But and it's like, so we don't want to do it, but because of what we're going to find, which usually is like the story we tell ourselves, which I think a lot of fear is.
Mhm.
But that's how you need to look at it. Same thing with bills, same thing with opening mail. It's funny, I had a period in my life where I didn't want to look, but guess
Oh,
what, it was
you
still
too?
there. Oh yes, for sure. Right, I mean, you were the same way.
Man, Coach, I can't even begin to tell you how that was still is a huge problem for me. I get notices, your mailbox is full.
Right.
Trauma response. Not excusing it because I know it. I know it, so do something about it, right? But when you get that letter, I never need to open another letter again. Anyway, that's not the
Right.
whole story. But yes, those
That's interesting.
micro things that we don't even realize are connected, right? We don't even realize are connected. Afraid to go places. don't want to talk,
Mhm.
intimidated, bully type behaviors.
Right.
One of the problems I have, and I have to be careful because one time I was on the barber shop. Well, let me let you finish first because that's another problem I
No,
have where I jump in and talk. So
no, you're good. No,
right,
carry on.
let me resist the urge to jump in. So let
Nah,
me.
you're good.
Were you in a good spot?
Keep
I can
going,
jump in.
please.
Okay, all
No,
right,
keep going.
all right. Because I watched a few of the shows where you were like, oh, I mean, so you were like, up, and I. So I'm working on
No,
that as well. Okay.
you're good.
The trigger that I have, and even though I feel it's justified, but I have to be careful because when I watch certain networks where they lay into the women,
Mm-hmm.
stupid women are stupid and stupid and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to say, "Oh, Doc, we like you, we appreciate you, but you're simping."
Mm-hmm.
So if you have two sisters that are physically beat in front of you, a 1 year old and a 6 month old, and you watch them get beat, if you watch your mom push them under the water to drown them,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then if you try and help, but then you get your tail handed to you too for trying to help, which is okay, you take that whooping.
Right.
But then if you're taught at home, what happens at home stays at home. But then you go get help, and then it breaks up the family for 42 years. You don't see your sisters again for over 40 years. During that timeline, you start to say, "Damn, maybe my mom was right. Should have kept my mouth closed." When you start to see other people out there, other family members, when you go to a family member's house, you go to your girlfriend's house, and they have Christmas time, and their siblings are opening up packages together, and you're sitting there getting all teary eyed. People call that a simp, but do we really know what's at the core? So when someone's arguing, one time, Coach K, I saw you on the network, and you were handling your own, but I swear I was behind the screen.
I know what you're talking about.
Man, I was behind the screen, and I'm not a big, I mean, our network, we have some big folks on this network. I think some of these guys 6'5", 6'4",
Mm-hmm.
300, 400 pounds. I think Mandrell's the shortest, but he take you out, he wipe out the whole town, whatever. I'm more the silent type. No need of me saying I can do anything. It's not what I can do to you, it's what I won't let you do to me. But you won't believe how I was sitting on that end, like, that's okay. All I need is an address. I just need an address of that person. I get enraged about how certain women are treated. Doesn't mean I'm simping. It means I'm triggered. Triggered. So a lot of times, again, people don't understand how these go together. And then if you make a promise to me, so I've been used to having broken promises. But then if a person makes a promise to me, now I'm going more outside of this, is not so much about me, but people who are promised things. And when people break their promise, you ever notice how outraged we get? Because no, you said you should have never told me. You'd have been better off just leaving it alone. You should have never, like, dang. Well, you said things that aren't, but don't, I'm not the type where you can, and they get really worked up. I ask people to look at, where did that come from? I mean, the people you're talking to that act that way, where does that come from? When I watched a show not too long ago on the YouTube, and there was a person was laughing and all right,
I
and I
know.
won't go into what show that was. Now, everyone else on the panel was,
Yep.
and there was just one person.
Mm-hmm.
And as the people were giving that person grief, we didn't talk about the fact that that might be their nervous laugh. Like, people have a nervous laugh when they either feel out of their league or out of something's going on. They actually have a nervous response. I tell people in groups that I run, tell us something, tell us your name, tell us something unique about yourself, and also tell us one of those goofy quirks that group members should know about you. So when it happens, everyone doesn't want to beat you up.
Oh, that's a good one.
I have a nervous laugh. In fact, you could tell me right now, my mama got hit by a truck, and what? My mama, my mama got hit by a truck. That's funny. No, no, I'm just saying that's funny. Dude, you laughing to your mama? No, I wish someone. No, no. Right? I mean, there are people who have certain ways about themselves, and if it's not
Right.
known, but we beat them up for it. We beat them up for it.
Right.
A couple times on the networks that I'm listening to about if your child is gay or trans or whatever, or they change, they don't follow what you like, and the people who said, yeah, they'll never come home again. I'll never. I'm done with them. I'm gonna cut them off at the knees. And I say, well, what's really going on for that person? What's going on for that person that they're so like they're deep into cut that trash out of my life? Well, how much
Right.
of that trash really relates to a time where you felt like trash in your life?
That's a great
So
point.
all those come from traumatic episodes or experiences. Now, to be realistic, Coach K, because I know if I'm the listener, I'm like, well, God damn, everything's from experience. Maybe I should just stay at home, right?
Right.
Everything's from an experience. Like, wow, and that's not the intent. The intent is
Right.
not to make everything like, oh, but it is the reality.
Yeah.
It may not be the intent, but it is the reality. And how old do you have to get in life before you recognize that some of the problems you have come from these experiences that you've had? How many people do you have to hurt along your journey because you didn't realize that it was about your
Right.
stuff, where you hurt others to make sure that it didn't get to you? How many people do you have to show up at their door with flowers and spicy chicken before you realize I'm doing too much? I'm doing too much. And if you are doing these things, do you know how to do it with intent? Because I'll be honest, Coach, I will pop up. I'll show up like, hi, what's up? Dude, we were on, yeah, there's nothing going on here. Oh, okay. Actually, I have a man. I thought, oh, but I know that I drove. I went there. No one told me
Right.
to. I know. The
Right.
shock, like, why didn't they? Oh,
I hate
but
that.
that came with time, though. That came with
Right.
time. That came
It
after
does.
the time when I was in New York and met some Puerto Rican who was like, "What's up, Poppy?" And I'm like, "Oh." I ran up on her. She wasn't even talking to me. She was talking to the dude behind me, and I was like, "Oh." And then I thought I'd make the best of the moment. But I could be the guy. Oh.
Right. You're right. That's what I was like, what? Oh my God. Well, it was genuine.
It took my friend, Mr. 360, he came over there and grabbed me. Was like, dude, I'm talking. What about you look like anything like Pop or E? Get your fat ass, come on. So, but it takes that acceptance from those friends. All right. So yes, the Joker, Lost in Translation. Joker, like not the I know you're talking about not the old Joker from like the you mean like the recent one, right? In the movie last year? Is that what you're talking about? Lost in Translation? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Arthur. Yes.
That was real. Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. Part
But
two is
not like
coming out.
Heath Ledger Joker,
Yeah,
I
not
guess.
Keith Ledger Joker, but I mean, there's some similarities about being treated a certain way and
Right.
then wearing the mask. Yes, but
I
I
think.
think the more psychological thriller is the Arthur one from last year.
Ooh, yes, especially psychological thriller. That's a good way to describe it. I think the biggest thing, and then if we want to shout the chat, but I think the biggest thing that it's like for people to know, and you've said this, this is for understanding. It's not a justification. But what I always want to emphasize is this. I want people to hear this and be encouraged because it's something, you weren't born this way. Now, some things are just temperaments, I guess, but like the thing is yes, this traumatic experience happened it's not your fault, but now, what you're doing is not helping you. It might feel good and comfortable, but it's not helping you. And you are responsible for this. Of
Mhm.
course, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but wouldn't you rather be the person who can do something about it than to think that it's everyone else? Because guess what? I don't know if you knew this or not, but you can't change anyone else. Why?
Cannot.
It seems like it'd be easier, but why would it be easier when we can actually do something about it?
Right. Well, because because of what I believe what you are doing to me, what I believe you are doing to the impact you have on me. So if I can change you, I won't.
Mhm.
It won't happen to me anymore.
Right.
It was really I need to change myself, but
Right.
or adjust accordingly. But I
Yeah.
believe if I change you and change your behavior, I won't
Then
be. Yes.
I'll feel
Yes.
different. Well, you're gonna have to change the world then,
Yes.
I'm afraid.
Coach, if it's
Which
okay,
is
let's do this one more time.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
run the video one more time. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
go
now
for
how to
it.
change this. The topic, our goal tonight is talking about stories, strategies, and potential to overturn this stuff. Let's get into that. We are at 23 likes. If you have not hit the like button, please do. If you've come in and not hit the like button, please do. Thank you, mods, for those kind reminders. Also, if you
Yeah.
like what we're talking about, please share and subscribe. I do recognize that our topics are not the woohoo, and our goal is really to keep it straight and narrow, but deep and real conversations. Not a lot of the extra powder puff stuff. So
No,
if you
not
like it,
talking
great.
points either.
But if you know people who can benefit from it, not the entertainment, but the actual stuff we're talking about, please share. We'd like to get those likes up. I mean, we're up here spitting platinum nuggets. Not that anyone asked. This is an opportunity for us. It's an opportunity. I'm honored to be on Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm
Yes.
honored to be here with Coach K and share this space. I'm honored to share
Likewise.
these perspectives with those of you listening. So I'm honored. This is not the Dr. Nakumbi show. I'm actually humbled and honored to share in this space with you. At the same time, I wonder how is it that one of our other funny shows can get 500 views and stuff like that, but yet we're at like 90 and 100 when we have such
Mhm.
platinum nuggets that we're trying to offer? It's not about the likes and cash apps, but about how many people say we need more mental health conversations. We need to have those conversations, and we're having the conversations, but yet we're only getting like 100 people to watch. Please pass this on.
Right.
Damn me, the person. I'm talking about the message. I'm talking about the help. You don't even have to sign up for this. You don't even have to say, hi, I'm one of the mentally ill ones. I want to take the thing. You don't have to sign up.
Right.
People just have to, or don't have to. You choose to listen. And again, I really want to push that you have two qualified people up here, qualified
Mhm.
people. And I'm not saying you're not, because I try to make this as much as a community thing. I'm not above correction. I'm not above wrong someone else's answers. We do this
Right.
as a community, but
Right.
it's much needed. So please, if you know people who can benefit from this conversation, invite them over on Thursdays or after the show plays. Please make comments or share the conversation. So many of our people across the board, different ethnic groups, different orientations, genders, ages. We all need it. We're in this together. Even tonight,
Yeah.
when I've talked, I've even done this. I've even said me. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about all the other people. All of us are in this together.
Yeah.
All right, this video.
And shout out to
Video
Lady
King,
Novella. Heart
Lady
you.
Nicole. All right.
Oh, Gil.
Yeah, one more time. Whoever's running it, though, if you can work with me and have you pause every few seconds here. All right. So we'll take this as a good pause. Already you showed up. Before you go places, know why you're going there. Before you go places, know why you are going there. Now I know, yes, I know where I'm going, but I'm talking about what's the intent? What is the long game? What is the long game? Are you going for a relationship? Are you going for marriage? Are you going for a hello? Why are you going? Do you feel
Right.
compelled? And where does this compel come from? Does this come from let me go be nice, let me feel good. Where does it come from? The reason you want to identify that is because the next time you go somewhere, know why you are going. If you want to start to take this by the horns and have some control, know why you are going. Well, okay, I think I know why. Don't think why. Know why you are going. Regardless
Yes.
what the outcome is, you went with confidence. In fact, be pleasantly surprised. There's a coaching strategy called significance versus game, GAME. Significance versus game. Turn some of this significance and oh my god, right? Oh my god. Turn some of that into the game. You go to your mailbox and you have a bill there, and oh my, they sent this bill. When you signed up for the cable, what did you think you were going to get? Have more fun with it. When you get to the mailbox and you have 9 bills and you expecting 11, damn, a couple of them didn't even find me. Ha ha. And I don't mean you have to make
Right.
everything into a joke, but I mean calm the fuck. Oh, excuse me, calm down. Calm down. Have put more intention into it. Calm down. Put more intention to what you do. He showed up already. He's expecting. He hears the guy's voice. Like, I hope I have the right house. Cool. Let's run.
I'm looking for Keisha.
Yeah, you was the one in her DM.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro. We
You hear that confidence? Yeah, bro, that was me. I love it. Coach K, I don't know about you, but I love it. Because he went from, I'm not sure if this, or you the one in her DMs. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, but here's the same, because well, now he's going to turn because you's a freak, dude. We saw the freakiness up in the DMs. And now there's this level of embarrassment that hits. Please note a majority of the freaks out there, let me reverse it. A majority of the people who have this similar type trauma are also freaks. I'll say it again for the people in the back. People who have similar type childhood experiences, don't be surprised. See, even though this was a skit, I'm telling you how 100% they were on this spot about use a freak in those DMs. The amount of sexual thought and feeling and self-soothing
Yep.
that goes on for the women too.
Right. Right.
Okay, don't get it twisted. Please don't get it twisted. You don't need to announce it that that's me and I use Jergens, but listen to me when I tell you this is 1 billion% spot on. The people who are looking for that sense of belonging, they get a dopamine rush every time they pleasure themselves. They get a dopamine rush. The problem becomes when you can't control it. It's become a routine. You have to squeeze one out in the morning or squeeze one out before you go to bed. The problem becomes a long time ago, we were talking about relationships. Why are married couples not having sex? And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things, because when I say it in the chat, when I say it on the show or the chat, in chat, my words always come across like I'm talking shit. It's like always like, oh, Mr. And that's not my intent, just the words come across differently.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, there are people who they seriously are in love with their partner, or at least like their partner. They have
Mm-hmm.
sex at 7 p.m., they end at 7:07 p.m., and the person goes to the computer room. And that computer room was only intended to last about a half an hour, whatever, but it was never enough. They didn't reach the level of deviance. And then we don't hold hands anymore because the level of holding hands is no longer like it can't keep the meter up. It doesn't do anything. So then if I'm watching corn,
Right.
the sensory in my eyes is picking up all these ideas from corn. Oh wow, oh wow, ooh, yeah. All those ideas go into the brain, but I can't really do that with my partner. So then I go entertain myself with those thoughts. And then holding hands with my partner is like, yeah. So my point is, it's spot on for those of you listening, and it's like, oh yeah, I do that a lot. So you might not do the simping behavior, but also what comes with it is the need for that dopamine rush, that feel good. So either video games, watching corn, self-soothing, spending money like a shopaholic, like just out there spending money that you know you don't have, spending money that you don't have. Any of these behaviors that are consuming you, the YouTube, nonstop, the nonstop, any of these behaviors that are consuming you could be part of this dopamine rush. It feels good. It feels good. When he said, "Oh, you were up in her DMs," yes. And he was able to say that with confidence, at least through my analysis. He was able to say that with confidence because, damn, yeah, that's my fit. Yep. All right, run it.
That's so good.
Played you, bro. Yeah. We got your cash out. Appreciate you, boss. You a freaking of DMs too.
Got your cash app. Now I want you to notice if you watch this again, if you want to replay, there wasn't much of a reaction from "we got you" and "we got your cash app," because someone would say, "You my money." So there's a difference between "you got me," but "you got my money."
Right.
So, but notice there's this turn like what? Shock. Moment of shock. So reversing this, have you actually gone through experiences in your life so when you can actually manage shock? Our first responders, officers, military, nurses, and so on, if you notice how they handle certain crisis situations differently, they've actually trained, they've gone either through training or they've seen enough.
It's a calloused.
Yes. Are you preparing yourself? I mean, you don't have to go into shock situations but are you preparing your mind? What are you doing to handle things, to engage in critical thinking, strategic planning? What are you doing to engage in critical thinking, strategic planning? Reading helps with that because it stimulates the brain. Okay, chess. There's a lot of strategy games, not just chess. I'm not even. I played chess like once or twice in life, but different strategy games. You know that game, concentration, where you pick up a card as the ace, and then you have to find where you think the other ace was.
Yeah.
Okay. Word finds. You name it. Word finds, word puzzles, crossword puzzles, regular puzzles. The number, I think the games are called I forget those names are called. Act is it something where you have to put a word together with the mixed letters.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Anything that works your brain. How are you preparing to deal with shock and awe? Strategy. So please work on your coping skills, your intervention skills. How do you intervene and work on that strategic thinking and critical thinking, crisis thinking? How many of you have a crisis plan in your home? If a fire breaks out, if something breaks out, what is your
I can tell you they don't, especially with their animals too.
Yes.
I did my research for my field work in school. Because I volunteered with the Red Cross, and then I did my field work with the Red Cross, and that was a big thing. And the animals really impacted, because in America, those are like an extension of our family.
Yes.
It really impacted their recovery.
Absolutely. So this guy didn't. So there's the shock and all, like, we played you, yeah, bro, and we got your cash app. You don't see again, if it's acting, just fabulous acting, but let's kind of pretend this is real, using the videos from last week where the guy got nibbled from the dog. So the dog, right? So the cash app. So then my question is, what's his value? Know your value, folks. What do you value? And some people, like I've heard arguments with Ray on some Reckless on some of these shows where it's like, oh, well, not all of us have, and now no, he values being able to have those things by being able to plan to do those things, to strategically sacrifice to get in position to have those things. What are we doing to strategically put ourselves in position? So when we say we value these things, we know exactly why we value. So that time from being played through the Cash App comment, I can't even tell what he values. There's all kind of like, oh, I just got played. Wow. And if he's looking for love, money might not even mean anything to him because the whole goal was connection, feeling connected, rooted, and belonging. That's more than any dollar. All right. Making
Right.
sense so far, Coach? I'm just making sense.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
it definitely does. I just feel bad for
Okay.
Gail, but you know, whatever.
Some of the things to work on: journaling. And now with all the technology, you don't even have to write. You can, if you have the voice command where you can
Yep.
open a note app and just talk. It doesn't have to be diary like. It doesn't need to be every day. But journaling,
Right. Even if
talking
you're a
about.
male.
Hmm?
Even if you're a male, because I'll say it's so important to not only separate what's going on, like it creates distance between, especially when something's really heated or really scary, or I don't know, it creates distance between you and what, you know, your thoughts are and, you know, your
Yeah.
perceptions. And it helps you process it, which is incredibly important in terms of, you know, when we're talking about trauma and things like that. But you, unless you ask the questions, you don't really know. But also too, what's interesting, and you don't have to refer back to it, but and I don't know if you do this, Dr. Nakambi, but when I look at where I've been, like from what I've journaled, or even my you know, my sister Erin, she had, of course, I'm a coach, so she knows she needs to do this, but she wrote about how she was feeling about, you know, conceiving, and it was taking longer than her expectations. And it's funny because at the time she was journaling, she didn't even know she was pregnant. So it's like,
Mm.
it's really cool, and it's a great reminder too to not only see how you have, you know, gone through things and gotten through it. So it's really boosts, you know, your own self-confidence, to say, okay, look, as I got through that, I can get through this. Because I will tell you, your brain is not going to remind you of this. It is focused. It has served a purpose at one point. It is focused on the negative to keep you alive. So if something happened positive, it is your job with your prefrontal to remind yourself of that. Okay,
Hmm.
I'll pass it
Hmm.
back to you.
Yep. Good point.
Journal, write
Also
stuff down.
journaling. I don't know if any of you use voice command and you create the message, you press send, and then you look at it like, oh my, or for me, my voice, the words don't always get captured. It
Yeah,
wrote
yeah.
something else, but I sent it. You ever read what you sent and like, oh, that's not what I meant. So
Mm-hmm.
journaling, if you write, and that's even better than the voice thing, the way it works the mind, as what Coach K was talking about, that whole separation. But writing does much more, a much better number, so to speak, on the brain. But then either give someone that story to read to you. So someone you
Ooh,
trust and say, hey, just read that to me. Or if you have text to speech, if you have text to speech or one of
yeah.
those apps where you get to hear it, not to, try and put a human voice on it. If you just have the, I went to the store today, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, put the human voice version on. Went
Yeah.
to the store, spent $50 today, ordered DoorDash, spent $30 today. Yesterday I was at DoorDash, spent $30 for breakfast and lunch and dinner. Dang, now that I think about it, I spent over $90. Whoa, pause. What?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the point where you're like, dumbass, who did that? Oh, that's me.
Right.
But
Right.
journaling and recapping. All right, so one more thing about this pause. And kind of goes to Dragonfly's comment about what? Whoa, first of all, some dude is talking about the freaking. What dude highlights like, yeah, you the freaking them deep. But when you're getting scammed
Right.
like that, I mean, that's part of the fun. Like that's part of the. If you're getting scammed,
Right.
um, speaking speaking from experience, excuse me, speaking from experience. So when you're getting scammed like that, that's part of the fun. But also
What?
speaking from the work that I do with my clients, so my sex
Mm.
offender clients who are actually
Right.
so into the fantasy
Mm.
that you get to play on people's, you get to play. I'm talking about the offenders that I work with that played on people's emotions through sex
Right.
talk. And the reason that is, can you guess, Coach K, why sex talk works to play on emotions? Or at least one version of it is not the only answer. Do you have a guess?
I'm wondering on the person that they're talking to.
Yep, talking to, and they're talking extreme. I'm not talking about just making love. I'm talking about like extreme stuff.
Is this person wanting it? Like, are they consenting to this, or I'm trying to think
Yeah,
of the dynamic.
so they're consenting. So, but like in this guy, so he was being freaky in his DM. So we'll pretend it was either Keisha, right? If there was a Keisha, or one of the guys, or coaching Keisha, or say some crazy stuff. I want you to put a bag around my head, and then make me reach my climax. And whichever comes first, either I run out of air or I reach my climax.
I'm wondering if it's like a control thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, control. That's they just wanted the thing.
That's
There's a
yeah.
sense of control. So, and I don't mean
Yeah.
it has to be like crazy or not even crazy, because I don't want to. Whatever people do, that's what you do. So I'm not judging what people do, but what I mean, however intense it is, I feel a sense of control.
Yeah,
And
like
the other
dominance, I
piece
guess.
is I feel a sense of belonging. Coach, if a person tells me I get to do X, Y, and Z, and it's considered deviant, it's considered above the norm, or hell,
Right.
since I never get any, it feels just to be able to do that. That's a sense of you. I get to do that. You mean you would let me?
Like me?
Yeah,
Who me? Yeah.
yes. And even the aggressive person who's saying it, when I get down there, Keisha, you're gonna have to relax the muscles. And when Keisha's like, I'll try. I've never taken so much before. 3 inches has been my limit, and so yeah. But the fact that she said I will try, good girl,
Right.
good
Right.
girl. So even though it seemed like he's a freak, he's dumb, he's stupid, he's a simp. Please remember the dopamine rush goes with it. So part of
Right.
journaling and part of being more in control of yourself, part of
Right.
that exercise helps you not be so low in the dopamine rush that you
Right.
actually, because the rush is coming from this talk and this deviant perp, like, yeah, and then,
Just highs and lows.
yeah. All right, let's run it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. We'll expose you, boss. No. You a freak, boss. What's in the box?
12-piece spicy.
Put it down or we expose you.
That's the worst part.
He didn't freak out when he said you're a freak. Come on, Coach. Again, minus the act and the skit. I have to say is spectacular. Realistically, the freak stuff, like, that's real. What did you bring? 12 piece. I mean, this came with pride. I just finished insulting your intelligence.
Right.
Okay. And I threatened you. We're going to expose you. But look how much pride comes with, yeah, I got the 12 piece.
Right.
It wasn't, he started to say, and he's like, no, man, we're going to expose you. But then he doesn't say anything. So the threat of being exposed was less than the excitement about, and I got this 12, I got the spicy. Remember you said, I don't know if it was you, but one who I thought was you said you liked the spicy. I got the spicy. And that weighed more than the threat. So hint, hint. They didn't, dumbass. You didn't, but this actually feels better. To the point where someone would actually hit that out of his goddamn chicken. Did you just hear what the pig, dumbass?
I know.
But realistically, I want people to catch this now with me. It's not written in stone. It's not the only thought. I'm not trying to force this to be correct. I'm giving you like a professional synopsis here. This weighs more. This feels good. You probably didn't even remember the time you mentioned. Where you guys having for dinner over there? I'm gonna hook it. Ooh, that spicy. Get the spicy chicken.
Right. Like, I'm gonna surprise you. Yeah.
And so he was threatened. He was a freak. Well, you got
Yeah,
12-piece
when I did
spicy.
this.
So again, I'm not capping on this, but I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, and others who are listening, recognize where your highs and lows come from, your feel goods. But not only recognize, but recognize if it's more than this. I was traveling with my dad one time. So a story, side story, but it relates. I was traveling with my dad one time. I was much younger and much wider.
Yeah.
Then he's falling asleep and he's like, wake up. And I'm like, well, I had to stay awake. I'm the passenger.
Right, right.
But then he was looking for a certain exit. And he had said earlier, we were going to go eat to look for different things on the freeway.
Yeah.
Going down by Arkansas, there was like a Stuckey's. I think it was called Stuckey's. But we passed it. And then he was looking for this exit. And I said, there's McDonald's. Now, for me, the McDonald's meant more than the address, even though we were going to be lost. But as the kid, I can't relate to this. But that
There's your
McDonald's,
priority.
huh?
That was your priority.
Yes. But it doesn't help when you add weight to it. I mean, I'm smaller now, but just imagine anyone. So I'm not capping on weight, but I had more weight. So it wasn't just the Golden Arch. It was the Golden Arches. And
Right,
my dad
right.
went ballistic because for him, not getting lost, wasting gas and all that was more important than some damn McDonald's. For
Right,
me,
right.
it was the opposite. Ladies and
Right.
gentlemen and others, start to learn what your feel goods are, what sacrifices you're making for those feel goods, and are they worth it?
Yes.
It's worth the feel good, but is
Yes.
it worth it? Start to recognize how you prioritize. Look at your day, look at your week, look how you prioritize. Look at how much you get distracted. Even if you set your mind to something, watch how much you get distracted. I'm not talking about ADHD distraction level. I'm talking about how much are you easily influenced?
Mm,
And that's going to
that's
play a
so
role
good.
in several parts of your life. When we talk about being influenced, how are you? Can I just show you something and influence you? Can I tell you something and influence you? What is your influence? Oh, people know a way to a man's. Oh, they know a way to a woman's. They know a way. Oh, they know. If the people know a way, do you even know that that's the way to get you? Do you even
Right.
know? So start making an inventory of these things that are your suck up your time, suck your life out of you, or give you life. It gives you time. There's a benefit to it. Not everything is
Right.
bad, and even some
Right.
bad things serve a good purpose. But behind every behavior has a purpose. Your kid has a temper tantrum, that's for a purpose because they want to get their way.
Right.
So every behavior has a purpose. But start making an inventory. Then my suggestion is go somewhere where you can start working that through. My suggestion, if you look at mindfulness, so being aware. So not only being aware, but think about the way it makes you feel. Think about the way you act based on the feeling, but then
Yes.
also what is the thought that goes with it? This is just kind
Yes.
of basic CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy or
Yep.
coaching.
Yeah.
Cognitive behavioral therapy or coaching.
Yeah,
How is it
exactly.
making you feel? So this guy felt, this is the chicken. I got this 12-piece spicy. So what was he thinking at the time? He thought at the time Keisha would love this chicken. I'm getting who's kind of spendy over this side of town, but I don't care because Keisha wants the chicken. So the thought was, I'm doing good.
Right.
The feeling was pride and joy,
Right. Right.
right? And then the action was spending and purchasing chicken,
Showing up with the chicken.
right? So that's a way to kind of start to look at what you prioritize and then why. Oh, I feel
Mm-hmm.
good well, what were you thinking at the time? Did you absolutely have to do it that way? Did you absolutely have to do it that way? So thinking,
Right.
feel, or in whatever order you want to go in. I think the actual order is thinking, feeling,
Yeah,
act.
that's what I teach. Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, I will say sometimes you'll notice the feeling first, or for me, like, I notice my thoughts first. So, like, whichever, like, you notice, then figure out, okay, I'm feeling this way. Why? Or you notice you're thinking, okay, well, how am I feeling? What thought,
Right.
what feeling are these thoughts creating? And then what actions? And it's oftentimes too, I'll notice that with clients, they don't want to do something because of how they think they're going to feel.
Right.
And also, too, we will feel a certain way and then eat. And let's say we're overweight. Okay, well, that's because we're eating to distract from feeling, let's say stressed out or something like that. And maybe you're stressed, and maybe that's okay. Like, maybe you want to feel stressed because you had a bad day at work. But is eating because you're stressed serving you, when obviously over time that's adding up, and you're just going to have to continue eating so that you don't feel that way, which
Right.
again, that's not helping you. So I will say for people, take that thing away. Take take your phone away. We see how teens and stuff act, they're attached to it. That's how you know you're solving for it externally, is when you don't do it. What happens?
Yep.
Then you have to process it internally.
One thing you
This is
said
the biggest thing.
brought something to mind. Why
Yeah.
am I feeling this way? You said I had a bad day at work. So if I'm acting now at 8 p.m. based on something that happened at 3 p.m., and who am I impacting? So I'm yelling at my wife, hey, come on,
Right.
you made this, blah, 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 or I'm yelling at the kids, or I'm mad at myself
Right.
or my friends, or whatever the case is. I'm having a behavior now at 8 p.m. that was connected to something that happened at 3 p.m. I know alcoholics that say on Friday, man, I got really wasted, but they knew on Tuesday they were going for a drink. On Friday,
Right.
they were wasted, but they knew on Tuesday they were going to have a drink. Monday, back to work. Oh my gosh, it's crazy traffic and all that. Tuesday, hit some more bullshit. And you know what? Oh, I can't wait to Friday. Oh, I can't wait to
Mm-hmm.
Friday. Wednesday is hump day. I just need to get over the hump. I just need to get over the hump. Thursday, woo, one more day to go to
Mm-hmm.
Friday. And then Friday, oh, I don't know what happened last night. I got all fucked up. I don't know why. I got beep, beep, beep. I got all messed up and I don't know why. They knew on Tuesday they will have a drink on Friday. Your 8 p.m. problem, is it really related to the people in front of you or with you when it was really a 3 p.m. problem? Or you have
Right.
an argument with your significant other in the morning. You know, people where if they say one word to you wrong, it just mess up your whole day. They just say one thing to you wrong, it just mess up the whole day. The entire day is ruined.
I used to be like that for sure. I try not so
Right?
much anymore because
Yeah.
but yeah, it does happen. But I
Yeah.
know I'm doing it because I'm like,
Right.
why are you offended right now? Like, why are you
Right.
letting this? And I'm like, okay,
When
it's because of what I'm
when I used
thinking.
to do, yeah, when I used to do or still do when I do workshops, I almost have to spend the night somewhere differently just to kind of stay because one word can mess up my whole tomorrow's presentation. So, all right.
Mm-hmm.
So know why you are doing these things and what's it related to. So thoughts, feelings, actions.
Actions.
All
Yep.
right. Let's play.
Oh, we're still playing. Okay.
Sorry. Mhm.
Put it down. You came with flowers too, boss? Oh my
All right.
God.
Let's pause.
You came with
Pause that.
flowers, boss? Put it down, boss. Walk off, boss.
All
Who are
right.
you, bro?
Cool. Thank you. We can stop the video now. Thank you.
Yeah, you.
So
Who
you
are you?
came with flowers too, and he was like, "What? Like I did something good? Like what? That's what you do." So just because it appears to be simping type behavior, if this is what you do, and you know you do something, you do it well, and you do it with confidence, and you feel like you didn't do anything wrong, speak to that. Don't be ashamed of the things that you do well, even if
Right.
someone else doesn't like it. But when you surrender, when you subjugate, when you cave into other people's thoughts, then you start to demonize, you start to make these things bad when they were intended for good, you just didn't realize, maybe you sincerely didn't realize you should change that behavior. But we have to be careful when we start changing behaviors because we're concerned about what other people want us to do. We are no longer being our sincere selves.
Right.
So, Coach, I don't know if you've ever done this, but here's an option for people who need to work on being themselves. So I say get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Start being comfortable with saying no. Say
Ooh.
yes to saying no. Say yes to saying no. Old colleague of mine, Dr. It's gonna take me a minute. His book is actually that. Say yes to no. Say yes to no. Dr. Wellstone, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Say yes to no. Start challenging yourself. Start challenging other people. Get used to their responses. Get used to people hearing you say no. Get used to you not catering and surrendering to every little. Some people drop little hints. Oh, the thing is, huh? Let me. Oh, huh?
Right.
But they drop the hint because they know your simple self will respond to it. Start learning to hear these hints and not surrendering to those hints, not feeling obligated, not feeling responsible, not feeling responsible.
For other
The past,
people's
yes,
feelings.
the past story, the past
Yeah.
story. So the story we use about the guy getting bit by the dog, the current person wasn't the person who let the dog get me.
Right.
The person who got bit by the dog and no one helped me, as you said earlier, Coach K, that coping strategy no longer serves me. What happened in the 1900s no longer serves me now. Me
Right.
responding and caving into this has nothing to do with what happened then. Let
Right.
go of that. It doesn't even belong to you. No, see,
Right.
we've been like this all our lives in our house because my mom, that's your mama stuff. That doesn't belong to you. That take that weight off your chest, off your shoulders. That doesn't belong to you. Now, see, my dad, but that doesn't belong to you. That was your
No
dad's way
more
of coping.
recycling.
Yes, recycling, spot on, Coach K. Create your own narrative. Create your own crisis, so to speak. That
Mm-hmm.
that 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 does not belong to you. Let
Mm-hmm.
it go. All right, so a couple exercises on letting it go.
So good.
So if anyone knows about throat chakra, okay, so having a voice, being able to speak, okay, so learning about the different chakras in your body. Now
Mm.
I'm not well versed in this, but find someone who understands or knows about chakras. Um, so it's a variety of principles and practices and things that you can do, but it's really about holistic, holistic healing for the body, holistic healing for the body, because this helps you to learn to be more comfortable being in your own skin, being comfortable
Right.
with saying no, being comfortable with the word rejection.
Mm.
Rejection causes a lot of chaos for people.
Right.
But you came into the world by yourself. Some say I have a twin, but you took turns. Or maybe it might be that one that came out both of you, but you take turns, but you came in the world by yourself.
Yep. I came in 22 minutes later. Literally. My
Cool.
mom was probably pissed.
Yeah. Let me read this. Chakra thought refers to the beliefs and concepts associated with the chakra system, which originates from ancient Indian spiritual traditions. If this is not correct, please challenge it in the chat because I don't want to give false information. This is what I looked up. So if it's not correct or you know something more, please add to the chat. According to the system, there are 7 main energy centers called
Mm.
chakras located along the spine from the base to the crown of the head. Each chakra is believed to have a specific color, associated elements that govern specific physical, emotional, spiritual aspects of the human existence. So that's another
Mm.
whole type of therapy or work, not clinical therapy, but another type of work that people can do. I know of people who've done it, and you want to talk about seeing behavior change. attitude change, it is marvelous. Spiritual work, believing in something higher than you, above you, outside of you, your God, and however your God is to you, whichever your God is to you, but believing there's a higher power outside of you, even if it's atheism. I mean, some people don't want to hear that, but whatever your God is to you. Now, how you engage in those behaviors. So if you read a book and said, I must follow this book, but notice you have to be careful when you're saying I must follow, is that the same behavior as I'm doing what others say I should do? So be careful when you're following these practices if you're still doing what someone else said to do, if that makes sense.
Right, right.
Coach, where we're at? I said a lot. How are we doing? Let's. I know we're in final thoughts. What are people saying over here? So we get some shout outs before they hit the other YouTube streets.
Yeah, so DAZN said that a lot of this stems from broken child or brokenness within us. We have to treat ourselves how we should have been treated that you didn't get. And then Andre said something about Stuckey's got good barbecue. And Lady Boba says facts because they won't care about you. And that is something I do want to point out that when I tell clients, now this doesn't mean you can just punch someone in the face. That's completely different. Or you can just, because that doesn't feel, I don't know about you, Dr. Nakobe, because, you're pretty aware, I would guess, but when you're mean to someone else, that does not feel good. I would argue immoral, obviously, but it doesn't feel good to be crappy towards someone else. But when I say, what happened to you, that we give away our power and, we blame people for how we're feeling. Just like you are in charge of your feelings, which I will say again, you want to feel bad sometimes. You're in charge, but also too, you're not in charge of pleasing other people because you can't do it. Just like you're in charge, they're in charge. So when we're people pleasing or trying to, say yes to everything, remember that you are not in charge. So if they're, upset that you said no, we can find understanding, but that's not your responsibility. Absolutely. So I want to add that in a book that's really good too. Have you heard of Byron Katie, Dr. Nakumbi?
Who? Byron
Katie. Her, I don't know where the Byron came from, but Byron Katie has this book, and this actually was it's a little woo-woo. Some things are hard to grasp. But her book called I Need Your Love, Is It True? And then she has a way of questioning, turning things around and questioning your thoughts, basically. It's all inquiry work, but also to, I Need Your Love, Is That True? That's a great one. If people want to look into that. It's all about, seeking approval and how we do that and don't act ourselves, and we pretty much lose in the end, but also acts in a way that's loving too. Because I don't know about you guys, and I'll end here. I want someone to do something because they want to do it genuinely. If they don't want to be there, hey, that's okay. I don't want you to be there if you don't want to. So the same thing is true for me. If I don't want to go, then I need to be honest and say no. And, it's okay. I love you, but no, I don't want to go, or I don't want to do this. So that's all I got. There's so many gems in this show today. So much good stuff.
Lou Medic mentioned people on both sides of that door are just as messed up. So the people catfishing and playing the game and running the scam, where's their head at? To find joy in scamming someone, to get over on someone, both are feeling like their element of good, right? Like we did good, like we got him. got him. So right on. Both people really have some issues going on. Usually we'll praise the one who got him. We'll praise that person because the other person looks simple. They look this, they look sad. A lot of times we don't understand if we cry to someone while they look at us like, ugh. Right? It's just not a good. And actually, if you really learn about control, management, leadership, all those things, a lot of that emotional expression stuff, it's considered as weak. So I know our society says it, but I mean the way you express it. So really learning how to express it, when to express it, who to express it with, that's the part you want to manage. If not, it comes across as weak.
That's
Coach, I don't know if we have any
good.
closing questions, comments, thoughts. I thank you for the conversation.
I thank you. That was great. That video, while it breaks my heart still watch it, but that was so good to break it down like that. And I think there's a lot to take away from this conversation, especially reminders for me, but I think everyone can take something away from this, no matter
Absolutely.
what. No
Absolutely.
matter
I hope
what.
so. I hope
This is
so.
great.
Please, again, hit the like button if you have not. Thank you for stopping by. If you're listening to the replay and you liked it and you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. We're like away from 3,000. So I definitely would like to be part of that celebration, Coach.
Yes.
Be part of that with Black Man Unfiltered and
Let's
the entire
go.
network. So please subscribe. Again, hit the likes. Thank you so much, Lou Medic, the Quiet Storm. Thank you for all that support and the channel links and all that you're doing. And our
Yes.
vibes. New York G. Is it NYG King? Or is it New York Giants King? But it's New York G. King. Lost in translation. Thank you for being here. The Zone.
Yes. Dragonfly
Lady
Jones.
Navoa. Thank you,
So
thank you,
silly.
Dragonfly.
Yes. Yes, Lady
Alexis from
Navoa.
Texas.
Yes.
Actually pulled it off, Coach. I was gonna be nervous and all that, and butterflies on my stomach, and show up with spicy chicken and flowers because Alexis from Texas here. But
Oh man.
all joking aside, thank you, Alexis, from Texas and CBN for doing what you do to help us tonight. So thank you so much for dedicating your time. We greatly appreciate you.
Yes.
BYU, if you're out there, continue to be safe and enjoy it with your family. Be well. Coach K, is always an honor.
Likewise to
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right, you guys take care. Please check out there's some few more channels that I think people listen to. There's whoever your favorites are, go ahead and hit them up. I know this
Yeah.
family is
Support 'em.
going, Arshawn is going, there are a bunch of people going. So whoever you like,
Head on over.
all right, we'll
Thanks,
see you next time.
guys.
Take
All
care.
right. Good night.